20 years later, as Adora prepared to close her door for the day, an elderly postman walked in with a weathered envelope in his hands. His uniform was frayed, and his face bore the marks of a hard life. "This is for you," he said, his voice trembling. Adora frowned. "For me? From whom?" He handed her the letter, and her heart stopped when she saw the familiar handwriting on the front. It was Chike's. Her hands trembled as she opened it, the edges of the paper brittle from age. The letter read, "Welcome to my channel where creative and captivating African stories come to life. Watch this intriguing tale and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to join our community." In the quiet town of Ozala, where life moved at its own pace, Adora lived a simple life as the owner of a small tailoring shop. She had spent most of her adult years alone, her heart burdened with the memories of her first and only love, Chike. They were inseparable in their youth, promising each other a future filled with love, children, and shared dreams. But war had a way of stealing the most beautiful things, and one day, Chike was called to fight. Before leaving, he held Adora's hands tightly, his eyes filled with a mix of hope and fear. "No matter what happens, I will find my way back to you," he promised Adora. Adora nodded, tears streaming down her face, and slipped a letter into his bag, a letter filled with words she couldn't say aloud. Months turned into years, and while the war ended, Chike never returned. Adora waited, writing letter after letter, hoping that one would reach him. When none did, she convinced herself that Chike had either moved on or perished. Heartbroken but resilient, she buried her pain and focused on building a life alone. 20 years later, as Adora prepared to close her shop for the day, an elderly postman walked in with a weathered envelope in his hands. His uniform was frayed, and his face bore the marks of a hard life. "This is for you," he said, his voice trembling. Adora frowned. "For me? From whom?" He handed her the letter, and her heart stopped when she saw the familiar handwriting on the front. It was Chike's. Her hands trembled as she opened it, the edges of the paper brittle from age. The letter read, "My dearest Adora, if you are reading this, it means I've found a way to get back to you, even if I can't do so in person. The war has taken more from me than I ever imagined. I was injured, and though I survived, I fear I may not make it back to you in time. But know this, I have loved you in every moment of my life, even in the darkest of days. I pray you find peace. I pray you find happiness, even if it is not with me. You deserve the world." Tears blurred her vision as she clutched the letter to her chest. "Where has this been all these years?" she asked the postman, her voice breaking. He hesitated. "It was lost in transit, found in a sorting facility when they renovated it. I am sorry it took this long." Adora spent the next few days consumed by the letter, replaying every memory of Chike. She couldn't let it end like this. Armed with determination, she began to search for him, asking old neighbors, visiting war archives, and even reaching out to veteran organizations. One day, she found a lead, a retired soldier who remembered Chike. He directed her to a small remote village where Chike was said to have settled after the war. When she arrived, the village was quiet, and her heart pounded with anticipation. She asked around and was finally directed to a modest house on the outskirts. An elderly man sat outside, carving a piece of wood, his back bent with age, but there was something familiar about him. "Chike," she called, her voice barely above a whisper. The man turned slowly, his eyes widening as they met hers. "Adora," he whispered back, dropping the wood and standing with unsteady leg. They stood there for what felt like an eternity, tears streaming down their faces. "I thought you moved on," he replied, his voice choked with emotion. "I wanted to find you, but I couldn't walk anymore after the war. I thought I had nothing to offer you." They talked long into the night, catching on the years they had lost. Chike told her about his struggles, how he had stayed away from shame for his injuries, thinking she deserved better. Adora shared her own hardships, her life of solitude, and how she had never stopped loving him. The story of their reunion spread through the village, touching everyone who had it. Adora decided to move to the village to be with Chike, and though they had lost 20 years, they vowed to make the most of the time they had left. Their story became a testament to enduring love and the power of hope, a reminder that some bonds could never be broken, no matter how much time passed. The end. Would you do the same thing for love? Was Adora's decision to remain unmarried because of her lost love foolish or wise? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to help build our community. Share your thoughts in the comment section and stay tuned for an upcoming movie you wouldn't want to miss.